Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Patriot Generation. Before we start today, I'd like to pay a brief tribute to Charlie Kirk. By now, I'm sure everyone has heard the awful news that he was assassinated at a campus debate in Utah. Charlie Kirk was the most influential conservative figure in America. He influenced young people more than anybody else in the space. I can attest to the fact that the Patriot Generation wouldn't exist without Charlie Kirk. In fact, he was the one who introduced me to this conservative movement in the first place. And I think a lot of people can say the same thing. Charlie Kirk, even though he's gone from this world, his legacy will be long-lasting because he had such an influence over young people today that they will carry his torch and continue what he started. I just encourage you all to pray for his family and for young people like us to be able to rise up, not be afraid to take a stand, and continue the legacy. Now, on to the episode. So today is our very first episode in the one-on-one interview series. Today we have Andrew, and the topic that we'll be discussing is health and wellness. So, Andrew, what's a common misconception that Christians have about being healthy?
I guess that it's optional. We're looking at the Bible right now. There's plenty of verses in here that talk about the food that God has made for man. We cited this in the last episode where they talked about, or me and Cameron specifically talked about Genesis 1:29. So one of the first verses in the Bible, and it says, "And God said, I have given you every herb that yields seed, which is on the face of all the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seed, and to you it shall be food." So this is talking about fruits and vegetables that grow from the ground for us to eat, and this is in the Garden of Eden. And you could totally make an argument that through the fall of man, that these foods in some way could get corrupted, as all things in this world have. But the point still stands that these foods were created by God in the beginning. And if we look over at, come with me here to Genesis 9. This is going to be right after Noah's Ark. We have Genesis 9, 2 and 3. Right here. It talks about, "And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, every bird of the air, everything that moves on the earth, and all fish. They are given into your hand. Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you." So this is going to talk about meat, specifically meat on the ground, fish, and birds. All this stuff is perfectly fine to eat. Some people go on diets where they don't have meat for a temporary amount of time. That seems to be okay, but for the most part, meat should be a staple in our diet. Do you have any questions about that, Elijah?
Yeah. What do you kind of think about the inverse of this, like a carnivore diet? What do you think of this concept?
That's a good question. Well, I think everyone's made a little differently. I think some people can get really successful through carnivore. Their health goes up in a lot of ways, and their body just seems to adapt really well to that. For me, I know that my body wouldn't do good with that. There's a lot of debates out there where it's like, do you need fiber or do you not need fiber? And you really can't get much fiber from meat. And fiber actually feeds your gut microbiome to allow it to digest foods. And for me, I've gone through periods where I haven't had enough fiber, and my stomach has had a lot of problems. So I couldn't go carnivore, but some people can, and they see a lot of benefits through that. So that's a person-to-person basis. Studies won't help you with that. You have to try it out for yourself. Something that really does help me in our last verse here is going to be in Exodus. If you go to Exodus 3:17, pulling up right here. This talks about a few more foods that God made. Let's find it. Forgive me for maybe mispronouncing something here. And I have said, I'll bring you up out of the affliction of Egypt to the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, to a land flowing with milk and honey. So this talks about two other foods that they very clearly, this verse is actually really interesting because they discuss it in a sense of treasure. This land is valuable because it has these foods. So they're almost discussing it in the sense that the nutrients in this land is so valuable that they're going to, that it's the promised land.
Yeah, so on the topic of milk, I know this is something that you are definitely invested in. What do you think of raw milk? This is a very controversial thing that a lot of people hate it, but a lot of other people love it. What's your opinion?
Well, first we have to understand in this verse, pasteurization didn't exist.
Yeah.
I think that's the first thing we need to understand.
But do you think pasteurization maybe have improved it over time and help people not get as sick from the bacteria and stuff in milk?
I think warning labels on pasteurized milk is an okay thing because we'll assume, for example, that the stories of raw milk are true and that it is dangerous and that there are some stories out there that people have gotten really sick by it and some stories of even people dying. Not as many as I think the media likes to push. But even if this were true, a lot of these stories probably came from a time before refrigerators existed. And, milk spoils and stuff. And if you go beyond that, it makes sense, pasteurized or not, that you could get sick. So it's hard to really understand. It's not pasteurized. So, of course, it's not going to be filtered in a way. Pasteurization, in a lot of ways, will kill off a lot of nutrients because pasteurization is heating the milk to a temperature that can kill off bacteria. And a lot of people say that this will kill off the nutrients. So these verses I'm citing, there's no sight of pasteurization here. They were drinking raw milk. Specifically, goat's milk was probably what they were drinking. But they probably also did have cattle. But yeah, do you have anything else? Like raw meat is another one that people really get on.
Really? Raw meat?
Or no, sorry, red meat.
Oh, okay.
Red meat. They say you shouldn't eat too much red meat. I'm sure you've heard that.
Yeah, I believe I've heard that swirling around somewhere, but I think that's just complete bogus.
Yeah.
I mean, you're the health expert here.
What I don't understand about stuff like that, where it's like avoid the sun, avoid red meat, avoid raw milk, all these things. These, as we go into these scriptures, the people that we're reading about were outside all the time, and they were eating these foods. And I think we can probably assume that they were healthier. Why does a society that places these rules on us end up being the most unhealthy society? Because if they are right, we should be seeing benefits left, right, and center.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty obvious. So, I know people that hide from the sun. I know people that, will not have red meat or not have these foods. And instead, what's your alternative? Your alternative is going to be the fast food, the microwave meal down the street, or the microwave meal downstairs. So, you really have to make a choice. And I guess there's probably a risk to everything, if you want to put it like that. Like you have to be okay with everything having a small amount of risk. I mean, we just read in Genesis 1:29 about vegetables. Vegetables have had a lot of controversy recently because they have something called carcinogens in them, which has some impact on your DNA, and people are very scared of that. They don't like that. Also, vegetables are sprayed with a good bit of pesticides compared to other types of fruits that have harder shells. Like if you can imagine a watermelon or a pineapple, it's going to be really hard for those pesticides to get inside of those fruits. Where on a vegetable, like a leaf, it goes right in and that's going in your body, so you don't want that.
You hear that, kids? When next time your mom tells you to eat your vegetables, take the clip from this podcast and tell them, nah, Andrew said that they have carcinogens and pesticides on them. I'm not eating it, Mom.
Or you can take the word of the Bible here and listen to that, which says that God specifically made it to grow out of the ground for us, which is super cool.
What are the ideal 3 meals in a day for you?
Oh, that really varies to person. Once I said
But for you specifically, like in your mind, what is just a perfect healthy like for you, and this could probably help some other people, like breakfast, lunch, dinner. Like what would be kind of the ideal setup to that?
I think it less so helps to do ideal and more practical.
Right.
How practical can we be about this? Because health shouldn't be your life. Health is just supposed to be something to get you to, where you're going, your goals, that kind of thing. So when we look at 3 meals a day, I think some days I have 4 meals and some days I have no meals because I fast. And I think fasting is so underrated. It's very obviously biblical, but it helps your bodies in so many different ways. You just need to make sure you're getting enough nutrients throughout the week. I like to fast on Sundays. It seems like a day of rest kind of thing. It helps me take time to do other things and, not be so worried about eating and consumption and that kind of stuff. So fasting is a great thing to implement, especially if you're trying to lose weight. But I really do think that the ideal meals are going to be the foods that are in these passages. So to answer your question, really all these foods are open. Just be careful what pesticides are going to be on these foods. These are going to be altered from what God has said in these chapters to preserve shelf life and that kind of thing. But yeah, stick with a lot of this stuff and you'll be doing pretty good.
So what would you say are some exceptions to eating healthy?
Well, ideally when you're at your own house and you're in your own kitchen, you should be trying your best to eat healthy because it is in your control. So if you're not doing that, you're not using the resources you have right in front of you. Some people don't have that. But there is something that I kind of made for myself called the airport diet, which is talking about traveling. Like if you're traveling, you're out and you're away from your house, you're away from your kitchen, it's really hard to get healthy food for an affordable price. And I know a lot of people worry about that. So if you are a healthy person, you should be able to eat some food out for 1 week, meanwhile going back and forth from a vacation or something, or, eat some stuff just to get you through the day. And then when you return, go back to your regular lifestyle. That should be the goal. So it's really hard in the world we live in to eat absolutely healthy. You can't just be traveling like they did in biblical days and, pick some, figs off of a tree and just eat that as you go. Like you have to stop at these fast food places or prepare food for you, which only really lasts so long. So it's kind of a tricky thing, but it definitely can be done. So,
right.
Yeah.
What are some kind of like foods that are secretly unhealthy that a lot of people just are kind of like unsuspecting unhealthy stuff that just people kind of eat on a regular basis and they don't really know what they're doing to themselves?
I feel like for this one I have to tread lightly because
don't tread lightly.
I know a lot of these foods have a lot of fame because people really like them for the main sense that they are perceived as healthy foods and people enjoy that idea while they're eating them. It gives them reassurance. I think the number one I can go at is oats. In what I think of the modern healthy diet, which is like kind of what you see on the internet, like people posting photos of their food and stuff. There's a lot of oats consumption and stuff. Oats have a whole host of problems. This can also go into like granola, cereals, oat bars, that kind of thing. The problem with these foods are oats are kind of meant to feed animals, like cattle.
Right.
Also, they're sprayed with glyphosate, which is not good. You don't want that in your body. So you have to be very careful with that. Prioritizing something like a sweet potato would be a lot better than an oat. They're both carbohydrates, but prioritizing sweet potatoes, there's a lot more nutrients in there and there's a lot less baggage because the sweet potato has this hard shell. If you've ever eaten one, you've had to shave that off, and that protects it from the chemicals being put on it to a certain extent. So that'll benefit you drastically.
All right. So what do you think about this whole like fake protein thing? Like whey protein pancakes, protein bars, and people thinking that this is eating healthy. I have to admit I probably am one of those people sometimes.
Okay, so to understand that, we have to understand that those people have different goals.
That's true.
Their goals aren't to be healthy. Their goals are to be muscular, which in a lot of ways can be a byproduct of health, but people are shortcutting that. So, obviously in these verses we are not hearing anything about whey protein powders. And from my own experience, I've taken these and they really do mess me up because the proteins do not actually have all that micronutrients along with them to help you digest them. So they just kind of get bloated in your digestive tract. And that can ruin a day right there. So I stick away from that stuff. I get almost all of my protein in my diet from meats and raw milk and other things of the more natural caliber. As a supplement, or we're talking the airport diet kind of thing, if it's available to you, if it's all you got, maybe it's a great option.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of protein, I've got kind of a fun question for you. What are your top 5 meats? Just your favorite meats to eat. What are your top 5?
Steak.
At number 1?
I think it's probably the most healthy for you. It has the most nutrients. Below that is probably beef. Beef's really good.
Wait, what is? Explain to me. What is the difference between beef and steak?
So they're just a different part of the animal. Really.
Oh, okay.
So steak is obviously more rich in taste. When you bite into a steak, you know it's a steak.
Very true.
And
beef
but also
beef is like burger patties and kind of stuff like that.
It has a little less nutrients, but it can still be very helpful to you. It's still very good. Other than that, I would also like to hear what you have to say about it, because you have some meats that you've tried that I've never even had before.
Is that accurate? I don't think that's true. I mean, I've had lamb. That one's
never
pretty
had
good.
That. Never,
really? You've never had lamb?
Never.
Huh. I like steak better, but lamb kind of tastes like less good steak.
Yeah, I've never had that one. Fish is one that I have struggled to get my hands on.
Seafood.
But seafood is great. Like, nothing to complain about that.
I'm a seafood fan.
Yeah, seafood's great. So that stuff isn't really in these verses, but they do talk about the fish and stuff of the sea in the last one we talked about. So definitely here.
Yeah. All right. I hate to be this guy, but this would just make good content, and I have a feeling our listeners would enjoy this. What are some of the hottest health takes that you have? Just the most controversial stuff.
I think I've probably told you most of them. Oh, in terms of exercise?
Anything.
Well, in terms of exercise, how many hours a week do you jog?
0.
Good. Yeah, I think jogging is not what people make it out to be. I think the number one goal should be health in a lot of ways. And jogging only works if your number one goal is competition. If you're training to be in the army or you're going to be an Olympian, jogging is a really good thing. But if you're training for overall health, it's not going to be as effective. Now, what to replace this with, you can definitely do walking. Walking is so underrated. I like to walk almost every morning around my neighborhood. Getting some of that natural sunlight really helps. Do that maybe 3 times a week. The other 2, sprinting. It's heavy impact, so that means it's harder on your joints than something like walking would be. But it is also high intensity, which means you don't have to do as much of it to get the same amount of exercise. It boosts IGF-1 and your natural growth hormone in your body, and works on more fast-twitch muscle fibers. If you're trying to do a mid-intensity exercise like jogging and you want to replace it with something else, swimming is really good. It hits your full body. Jogging does not do that. Sprinting has been around forever. Jogging, in the terms of health, is a relatively new thing. You can trace it back to the 60s, 70s. So that's, I guess, my hot take. No one likes to hear that one.
You got any more? I'll take them right there.
I feel like I'm not like
you're not a very controversial health
raw
guy?
Milk. I feel like these are controversial. It's just the people that are listening to this, these probably won't be that controversial to them.
You never know.
What about you? What's something that you've noticed through your atmosphere that you
Oh dear, I am not a health guru by any means. I don't know. Something strikes me that just eating straight tuna.
Yeah, that
the gym bro world. I'd like to hear you talk about that. The gym bro kind of concept, because people love that.
Yeah. Okay. So I started working out when I was 13 years old. So I've definitely seen this. My first 2 or 3 years, I did most of it in a gym. So I was around that, and it's a whole industry. There's a lot more vanity to that than something just like overall health.
Yeah.
And we can tell that their goal is an overall health because a lot of people take steroids, which we know is not good.
So, like creatine.
Creatine is one I've never tried before. It is in meat. When I went to actually get my blood tested, my creatine was at a very average range, even though I was eating red meat almost every day. So it is really hard to get enough creatine in your diet without going to supplements. I've personally never done this before, but there is some supplements I've definitely got on in the past. I think vitamin D3 is one you need because we live in a world that's all indoor, the indoor world, right? We're not outside as much, and you should still definitely be thriving for some natural sunlight every single day. But to get the amount that your body needs, you probably need to take a supplement, and that's fine, especially if you live somewhere that doesn't get as much sun, like, winter's coming on here. It's so when the sun's out less, vitamin D3, there's actually charts out there that show male testosterone fluctuates through the different seasons. It's highest in summer because people are outside the most and get the most sun exposure, and various other reasons like exercise.
I mean, I know a lot of people who take creatine supplements, and they say that they're able to bench way more. They're able to do a lot more stuff. What would you kind of say in response to that? Like, what are some side effects or negative things about using creatine?
Creatine is natural. We talked about that. It is found in food.
Right.
I think it gives a lot of people water retention, which means you just hold more water, which makes you look kind of like bloated in the face and that kind of thing. I've also seen people break out with a lot of acne from it. Their body doesn't respond to it very well. So you just have to know yourself and try it out. Like, see if it works, and don't keep doing it if it starts messing with you. So I won't say it's good or bad. It can be a great tool for some people and can mess up some people.
What are some simple, free things that someone can do that'll improve their health and wellness? Just simple things that somebody listening could just do right now, and they'll see an improvement.
Being observant is probably the first step. You have to care before you can be healthy, because it is an intentional game. It's going to say, I'm going to put this in my mouth, or I'm going to not put this in my mouth. Like, there's those memes out there where someone gives you some candy and you're like, I'll eat more, I only live once. And you're like, no, I'm good, I only live once. The different perspective that people have. You have to be very intentional about it. So something I've found from being very strict with my diet over the years is that people love to share with you when you ask for something. Like, can I have a bite of that ice cream? Like, people are like, yeah, sure, I would love to share with you.
Are they?
Yeah, they are. Huh. They're like, yeah, sure, like family members and stuff, and all that stuff. Like, you can't feel guilty about that. If that's what's required to keep you on the journey you're going on, like a bite here, a little taste there, like that kind of thing. Like, if that keeps you into it. And sometimes for me, I've even had that stuff, and I'm like, this isn't as good as I remember it tasting. Like, in some ways, I think there was something going on a few days ago, and I tried a food that I used to think was so good on this pedestal of amazingness, and now I was like, these are kind of mid.
What was it?
It was some sort of, might have been like Chick-fil-A or something. And I was like, these fries are just not it, dude. I would much rather have like some sweet potatoes.
Now, out of all the controversial things which we've said in that episode, that's gonna get the people the most angry.
I actually would go into that right now, because if we're looking at the Bible and we're talking about trying to be healthy and stuff, everyone talks about Christian chicken. You've heard this, right?
Oh yes.
What's Christian chicken?
It's from Chick-fil-A, so it's a Christian company, therefore it's Christian chicken. The logic, it's a Southern thing or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's not going to do it for me, guys. Our standards should be a lot higher than that. Their food maybe used to be on a slightly higher bar than every other fast food chain out there. Just be aware that doesn't mean that's good. That's like their bar was slightly above the lowest possible bar.
Yeah. That is true.
The minimum health requirements. Yeah. So this food is not gonna be optimal for you. I know people eat this food so often. So many people in my life and just in the life I've observed around me. So you have to be very careful of that. Maybe you can go there as a treat if you really enjoy it, but the most of your life should be really focusing on health, and you can actually make that type of food at your own house.
Minus the seed oils.
Well, yes, you need to be very careful of that kind of stuff. But if you get better ingredients, you can still have things like pizza. If you get your own tomato sauce and get your own dough, and like it actually tastes really good when you make it yourself too. Mom will make some pizza, and it's healthier than all our alternatives.
What started you on your health journey? What kind of like motivates you to keep going with this?
Have you ever heard of the posture theory?
No.
It's like, so a guy walks by, a guy slouched over, and he's really sad, and he has kind of this really bad posture. And he said, "Dude, your posture sucks." And he said, "Yeah, people always made fun of me for that." And then there's a guy right next to him, and the same guy asked, "Dude, your posture's so good." And he said, "Yeah, people always made fun of me for that, for having bad posture." When you're made fun of in your life, you start to take other routes to do stuff to change whatever people are saying is true about you, regardless if it's true or not. And that was kind of my story. I'm not going to get into it because I'm sure it's just like the basic reasons most other people go through. But when you go through it, people ask me, how are you like so into this? And it's like, I think it was just born in me at one point because I didn't care about this for a long time. Just a gamer, just eating, drive through Little Caesars.
Wow.
Yeah, a complete 180. And I've been able to change the lives of the people around me too, and make them more conscious about it as well. So it's been a great thing for everyone.
But the second part of that question, what just like motivates you to keep going even today after just all these years after you've begun? What just kind of motivates you? It's like, all right, this is why I'm doing this. This is why I care. Even beyond just, all that you were saying before.
I guess maybe the mentality that if you're good with little things, God will give you great things. Like, why do our parents have us clean our rooms? To prepare us for responsibility. Why do we make our bed? To be able to do little victories in the day so you can do bigger things. I think taking care of your body, and this goes way beyond health in a lot of ways. We'll get into that in some other episodes and that kind of thing, where you need to be maxing out your sleep. You need to be maxing out your diet. Getting sufficient sunlight and exercise and not stressing. Like, these little things can really help you in your life and benefit you. And a lot of people don't realize that the goals they want in their life are goals that can be attained through health and other things that come with that. Like, if you're I know you are really excited about having a family. If you have a family and you have all these health problems, how are you going to enjoy the moment?
Very true.
You're going to be like just as stressed out as you would at any other time in your life. Like, now I got this perfect world and life's falling apart. I can't like provide for them. I have to pay all these health bills to these corrupt industries. Like, imagine that. That would suck.
Yeah.
That'd be terrible. That would probably kill some people's dreams.
And I'm sure you can attest to this, that eating better makes you look better. Would you say
yes.
you agree with that? So if you're, struggling with how you look, and like, maybe you're like, this person still doesn't like me, and you're feeling like insecure about that. This is something that could help you. And I'm speaking to the choir right here. This is something that I need to work on a lot. And Andrew's been a great influence on me just concerning this stuff, because I, like many of the people out there, we're ignorant, because we're fed lies about this every day.
Yeah.
We're told the opposite is true. Like some things are healthy when they're absolutely not, and we're just kind of spoon fed this just steady diet of like chemicals and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Yeah, you need to get those artificial sweeteners out of your diet. You need to get those seed oils out of your diet. Those heavy metals, those microplastics, all these things need to go for you to reach what we're talking about.
Right.
You're the type of person that actually has a really valid excuse more than most people watching this. And I've seen you still be conscious about what you're doing. And you still seem to like be okay with like hearing from other people, which is why like I like this podcast so much. You seem to, even if it's something you don't particularly care about so much yet, you're interested to hear about it because you know it's important.
Yeah.
And I really respect you for that. So,
of course.
Yeah, in 1 Timothy, I think it's 4 or 1 Timothy 4:8. It talks about physical training. It says like physical training is of some importance, but training yourself in spiritual ways is like the utmost importance.
Very true.
So when it comes to like doing your physical training and working out and stuff, I used the term working out for a long time, and then I realized like working out to me implies just tirelessly exhausting a muscle for no gain. Training is working towards something, building towards something. And I think ever since I changed the mentality towards I'm going to train towards something, even if that is better health, I've seen a lot of progress because I actually am working towards something that I can end up seeing results towards. I like to do incline press. I like to do pull-ups, ladder raises, that kind of thing. Sprints, as what we talked about earlier. It really has to be pretty simple. Just stay consistent. Training is a very simple thing to talk about. Just make sure you're having good form and you're not injuring yourself. Yeah, do you have any other questions? Anything else you want to address?
Yeah, I've got one more here. What do you think is the most important thing for someone to prioritize when it comes to personal wellness? Just above all else.
Do you want to say your physical being or your spiritual being?
Let's go with physical.
Okay. Well, I guess it's just the decisions you make every day. There's not like one big one, because if there was one big one, everyone would do it. But the closest thing to the one big one I can tell you is be conscious about the decisions you make and know the repercussions or the advantages of what you're doing. Whether that's changing your diet or getting outside more, being in nature, like that helps lower your cortisol levels. That's your stress hormone. Super good for you. Even something like taking a walk in the morning. Don't start with this crazy elaborate schedule because you're not going to be able to pull it off. You have to.
I can attest to that.
I can too.
Yeah.
You have to, over years. I mean, I'm 18. I started when I was 13. Over years, you slowly ramp it up a little more, and that's where you get to where you want to be. If you go, 0 to 60 instantly, you're gonna really mess yourself up because you're only going to be consistent for. You're not going to reach the afternoon.
Right.
So, yeah.
It kind of struck me when you were saying that you've been doing this from 13 to 18, so 5 years, roughly.
It's been a long time.
Yeah. How do you think your mentality and stuff has changed about health over that long period of time?
Well, like I said, I started being made fun of for being skinny, so that was the primary goal, to work out and stuff. And I think since then, I've been able to see that there's more to just like, it's not just about the gym bro culture, it's actually about health in your life in general. And I've actually like prioritized health over everything else in this fitness world that I've been seeing over the years, and that has really changed my mindset in a lot of ways to be vain and all that different stuff.
Yeah.
So the Bible's really helped with that, like these verses that I'm telling you about. We have to know that like physical training is a thing in the Bible that wasn't really talked about too often. There's a verse where Paul talks about like buffeting himself up for the sense of spiritual endurance.
Yes, I was thinking about that.
For the most part, they don't talk about that because like training for physical purposes and for health purposes is generally a pretty new thing unless you were some sort of Olympian. in the last 100 years, humans have evolved so much in our society and all this different stuff where we do a lot of our work on a computer and we don't really get the exercise we would. If you're building a log cabin or you're building like a city in the old days, you got all the exercise you needed. You got all the outdoor time you needed through that, right? People didn't have a healthy diet back then. People just ate what was available, what was swimming in the sea and what was, flying through the air and that kind of thing. So
what I find fascinating is that a long time ago, being fat was considered like a sign of like wealth.
It was because you had resources on you that you weren't starving.
And now it's the opposite.
Yeah. Well, it's a different type of fat. These people are fat with seed oils and all these things that the second their body's hungry, they go to pull from that. They're not going to find the nutrients that they thought they had. Fat back in the day is like, wow, you ate a lot of potatoes and steak. Like, how could you eat that much?
Yeah.
For a rich person.
It was like quality versus quantity kind of thing.
Yeah, nowadays anyone could be fat. Like,
back in the day it was bad quantity, now it's bad quality.
Yeah.
And bad quantity, but a bit of both. Well, what else you got? This is your episode, your time to shine. Anything you wanna talk about health? Just lay it out.
I think recently I've got super enlightened about these corrupt industries, these corrupt agencies. If you're looking at the doctors industry, the health industry, the dentist, the orthodontist industry, or the pharmaceutical industry.
Oh yeah.
All these different things are so screwed. Like if you were to search up on your laptop right now, is raw milk bad for you? You would find so many studies from all of these big companies that have been bought out by the grocery stores to sell more of this pasteurized milk. They all kind of recycle the same information. And I think talking about the risks of raw milk, like let's sit here and have a conversation. That's okay. I don't have any problem with that. Raw milk can have risks and I can still drink it.
Yeah.
I don't need a risk-free food. If foods were risk-free, we'd live forever. There's no such thing as a perfect food to me. So, support your local farm. I think that's what I learned from this. Why would you give your money to these corrupt industries when you can spend it on supporting good people that actually care about you? That's something I think a lot of people could really benefit our society as a whole more. Take your health into your own hands. Don't rely on these pills. These pills are wired to give you deficiencies in other pills, so you need to buy more. It's marketing. It's fine from a marketing perspective, not from a moral perspective. They want you to buy more and more and more.
It's great for them, but terrible for us.
Yeah. Was pills and this whole market, besides your neighborhood doctor, was this whole industry around when people were healthier? I don't think so.
Yeah, we didn't see ads like all the time for drugs, where they spend 3 minutes listing off all the terrible side effects.
Yeah.
And they only do that because they have to.
Yeah, they only do that because they have to. Muttered voice, like, this product
extremely quickly, yeah.
Yeah. The very end after the happy,
like death, cardiac arrest, dementia.
Yeah. I will say this. I'm not hating on, modern science or what we've done. There was a time in history where, 1/3 of all babies died. Just through the course of growing up. We've definitely changed a lot, and a lot of things have come into place to help us combat some of these problems we face in our society. But through this, we've created other ones. And I think you can't really reach a point, unless your genetics are just that good, where you reach perfect health without having to worry about it personally. Like, the government can't give you personal health. That takes too much for them, and they have to do that for too many people.
Yeah.
They give you some things that can help you. Like, I had an iron deficiency at one point, and I took some iron pills, and it really helped me. I was getting headaches and that kind of thing. But for the most part, this is a you thing. It's your body. You need to take care of it.
Yeah, very
It's with that mindset that you will begin to succeed. If you go to the doctor and spend all your money just to see the guy, you're going to be left with nothing else to spend on yourself. And he's just going to be like, yeah, you need these pills, so go buy them.
I went to the doctor recently, and a good bit of the a good bit of the conversation was about just like her listing off these random pills for me to take. It's like, here, you should take this one, and if this one doesn't work, take this one. And I was like, is this the solution?
Were those provided for you for free, or did you have to buy them?
I don't recall. I think we had to buy them, but we didn't. We didn't.
You didn't. Oh. Yeah.
But it was like that's what she was suggesting.
It gets way deeper than this, guys. I'm sure we can, in some episode, talk about vaccines and all that stuff. That's a whole other world.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I can close this off. I had one more verse I wanted to read.
All right.
I need to go to Matthew. This is going to be Matthew 4:1. This is Jesus, and he's actually fasting in this verse, and he is in the middle of nowhere being tempted by the devil. And I thought this would be a good way to finish off this. So it said, "Then Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness, and was tempted by the devil. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, afterwards he was hungry. Now when the tempter came to him, he said, 'If you are the Son of God, command these stones to become bread.' And he answered and said, 'It is written, that man shall not live on bread alone, but from every word that proceeds from the mouth of God.'" Health is important, but there's other priorities in life, as we're reading right here. And it should be a part of your life. It should be something that you tackle in your younger years, so you don't have to worry about it and make it consume your life in your older years, when you won't be able to change the outcome. So it's now we need to act, but also, have fun. If you see a thing of ice cream, ask for a taste, right? Like, you don't need to be super strict about it, especially in the beginning.
To the point that it like just destroys you.
Yeah, but and the truth is, if you are a healthy person, you can afford that.
Yeah.
But you need to get to that point first. So yeah, I will say thank you, Elijah, so much for having me here. I'll give a little tease for Weston here. Are you okay with that?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So, yeah, Weston's coming on next week. I'm sure he's listening to this right now. As homeschool Christians, our parents teach us to question everything, and I think there's no one better than that as Weston. He's going to come here and help you guys debunk the lies and decipher the truth and stuff, and I think I'm really excited for that episode, so I really appreciate you allowing me to come on the podcast. And
yeah, so am I. It's been a great second episode. I'm excited for where we're going in the future. Stay tuned for next week, because we're having Weston on, and we'll see you guys then.